well today on this gloriously sunny Sunday afternoon, or Saturday afternoon, evening, pre-evening, Monday morning, wherever you are in the world, whatever day, time, season it is. Today in Northern Ireland it is 4:30 on a beautiful sunny Sunday afternoon. Anyway, that's not the point. So today I want to take some time to talk about something very important, not just to me, but to a lot of people in the world. Ultimately, everybody, but not something that everybody's going to be consciously aware of or interested in. What I'm referring to is the ego or pride. So ego is something that I'd never really thought about before over the last, well, not before the last couple of years, but on hindsight, in past reflection, it's definitely something that formed a large part of my personality and the way I viewed myself and the way I viewed others. So maybe you can relate to some of these examples, which I'm going to share with you, maybe not, but personally, I grew up with somewhat of an inferiority complex, partly fueled by having a very dominant, very controlling father who basically dictated almost everything in my life, and caused the formation of a lot of self-limiting beliefs. Now, I have since let go of any previous traumas or negative experiences in relation to my father, but I've used them as tools now to actually aid my personal development. Maybe you can too. In fact, you definitely can if you become aware of them. Anyway, so subconsciously, I felt that I needed to prove, not only to myself, but to prove to my dad, and I suppose other people around me, that I was worth something. I was strong, I was tough, and one of the most effective ways I thought I could do this was through going to the gym, getting big and strong, physically powerful. And then that sort of subverts that motive to do that. The motive in that it was to gain approval from my father, that sort of transmuted into basically to prove my worth to, well, girls, to attract girls. And I guess, well, virtually all guys can attest to something like this, where they try and do something, they try and learn something, they try and build themselves in some way to attract the opposite sex. I mean, it's been written about in a lot of books, talked about in a lot of podcasts, and most people are bound to be aware of it. But one of the major driving forces for anyone, particularly men, doing anything is to attract a partner, basically attract the opposite sex. They want to be desired, they want to be the alpha. And certainly I experienced that throughout school. A lot of my friends did as well. Anytime I brought my electric guitar into school, I thought if I would start playing Metallica or AC/DC, that crowds of girls would flock towards me and throw, I don't know, their admiration at me. I don't know. Anyway, no. The thing is, though, a large driver for many things we do in life is to attract the opposite sex for sexual gratification. Even though you may not consciously be desiring that, there's a large part of your subconscious mind which does crave that, because ultimately we want to reproduce, and at the same time we want to stroke the ego. We want to satisfy the ego. The ego wants to be nourished, and to nourish it, it wants to feel good. Anyway, so that was one of the big drivers or big motivators for me to go to the gym, get big and strong and whatnot. And unfortunately, I could never get as big or as strong as I wanted, but I did pretty well and still do. We're currently in semi-lockdown in Northern Ireland, and to be perfectly honest, I'm not entirely sure if the gyms are open anymore. They've been open and closed so many times now. I've just been doing stuff at home, a kettlebell and a box of books, just curls and push-ups. On that note, push-ups are a fantastic exercise, and I found I actually was able to maintain almost all of my muscle mass just by doing push-ups alone, 4, 5, 6 sets to failure. And I've lost a wee bit of definition, but ultimately my size is still quite good. So anyway, that's obviously beside the point. But if you are wanting to do any effective home workouts, I definitely recommend basing any workout around press-ups or push-ups. Incorporate them every day. So one of the biggest motivators for me to get big and strong, to be muscular, was to win the attention of girls. And what I found was, now I didn't realize this at the time, because I suppose I was suffering from what you would call self-awareness deficiency syndrome, or SADS, which is what many people have, unfortunately. And it's not until you do some shadow work or self-reflection that you become aware of these deficiencies or these lackings in awareness, personal awareness. So looking back, I realized that the stronger I got, the more muscular or the more powerful I felt I become, or the more powerful I felt I was becoming. My ego was inflating simultaneously. So the more I worked out, the more I expected girls to just flock to me, and I expected to be desired more and more and more, and just get what I want. Essentially, there was like a sense of entitlement, basically. And this was the ego. This was my subconscious ego, which was influencing my conscious views, behaviors, decisions, thoughts, and feelings. And whenever its desires, the ego's desires, weren't manifested to the extent that it wanted, that would cause me, and ultimately it, to feel a lot of frustration, bitterness, anger, jealousy, all just a whole host of negative emotions. And this went on for a long time. And I heard a recent example, actually, of something quite similar. It was Mike Tyson, whenever he was on Joe Rogan not so long ago, or maybe it was a long time ago. Time's been going very strange lately, I don't know if you noticed. Anyway, it could have been maybe 5 or 6 months ago, maybe a wee bit less. It was before he made his comeback fight against, was it Davis Jr., something Davis Jr.? I can't quite remember. Anyway, the point was, Tyson came on to Rogan twice. The first time he came on in recent years, he said that he was too scared to start training again. He didn't want to reclaim his former glory, get into that previous primal shape that he stormed the world with all those years ago, because he was scared that he would unleash the beast within, the monster within, which he meant his ego. Because whenever he transformed himself into his ultimate state, his ego would manifest and show its head and turn him into a totally different person. And that scared him. But he was fully aware of it. Now, he did go back into training and he did do that fight, and obviously he got into fantastic shape again. I mean, the guy was like, he was putting men half his age to shame. It was intimidating. It was terrifying. And even Rogan was like, "Whoa, I felt I need to get a bigger table here, because you're." I feel intimidated just being in the room with you. You know, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but the point is, whenever he trained, whenever he got big and strong again, that reignited his ego. But he was aware of it this time, so that gave him the power to not let it consume him. And that's what I've been trying to do myself: become aware of my ego, especially when I'm training and putting on size, volume, and strength again. So it's something to bear in mind for anybody if they're developing a skill or trying to attain a body they want or achieve any goal they want, to not let it change them. It's like when people suddenly come into money. Their personality may change overnight. They may cut ties with their previous friends. They may become an arrogant asshole, basically. It can change them for the worse, and that's because the ego has just super inflated. But to stop that from happening, you have to pay it attention, and you have to realize that it's not you. It is like a passenger in your mind. You can listen to it because the ego does have a purpose. It can protect you. It can preserve you, because it wants to stop you from going out of your comfort zone. For instance, you see a really attractive person across the road and you want to go and ask them out. And you think, actually, no, I better not, because they might not like me, or I might not do this, or it might go horrible, blah, 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 blah. That's the ego talking you out of it, because it wants to preserve you. The ego doesn't want to die. Being refused, being shot down, being denied is death of the ego, and the ego does not want to die. So it doesn't matter if you're going to the gym, or if you've won a lot of money, or if you're working towards a new career or a massive goal. The more success you gain, the more likely it is that your ego will inflate correspondingly to your results. But if you can be aware of it, then you can have power over it, and it will not dominate your life. It will not change you in negative ways, which it might otherwise do. The key is being aware. Anyway, I hope you gained some degree of value from this today. And as always, if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, or anything, please just post away in the comment section. So, and as always, thanks again for watching. All the best, and take care.